Good evening, everyone. This week I'm assigned to explain about media queries. It's a popular technique for delivering a tailored style sheet. In other words, it's what makes a website responsive. So, what is media query? Essentially, what media queries do is allow us to create CSS rules based on various parameters. For example, viewport size or screen size or device type that you are viewing your website on. The idea is that we can arrange your content layout to work on a wide variety of different devices or screen sizes. For example, we could create a media query which targets just a mobile screen size, and we create a whole set of CSS rules that are going to target those screen sizes so that the layout is going to look different on the mobile devices. And how do we write the code, and how do we put it in our CSS file? Well, it's the syntax is kind of easy. Generally, developers put media queries in the main CSS style, but also you can have the option on create a different CSS file just for certain media queries or media types. But either way will work as long as you declare that you are using a media query. And we do that by using the symbol at right here and say the word media. So these two, there will be no space in between. When you do that, you're declaring that you are using media query. And then we put a keyword which defines the media type right here. Media type can be, um, what kind of device or screen are we going to be viewing on, and what type of device these CSS rules are going to be active on. Then we use the keyword and to attach an expression to it. An expression can be a variety of things too, like orientation of the screen or the width of the device or things like that. And then we have curly braces, which then will wrap all your CSS styles for that device. This description right here. So here are two examples. The first one, if you can see, I'm declaring that I'm using a media query, and then the media type is TV. That means that um, when the device is a TV, this description, well, any TV device will fit in this description. And the word and then the expression min width of 100 or 1200 pixels. This means that any TV devices with a minimum width of 1200 pixels apply these CSS rules that are within the braces. And a second example is the same situation. I'm declaring the media query, and then the media type, in this case, it's screen, and max width 800 pixels. That's the expression. This line right here tells the browser that any devices that have a screen with no bigger than 800 pixels apply these rules. So that's how you use media query in a style in a CSS. Okay, now I'm going to make a third example. This one I'm going to try to demonstrate to you and how it works so that you can see exactly how you can use media queries to make your website more responsive. I'm going to use Google Chrome. I'm going to inspect the element, which is right here, and then I'll go to sources and I'll go to styles. this, I will be able to see or find all the CSS rules that are applied to this web page. Typically, developers add all desktop styles at the top of the CSS file and then add media queries for more specific targets underneath it. So for me, I will just use a comment right here saying media queries starts here, or maybe I'll just leave it media queries right here. So this will help me find my media queries later on. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do when you try to add a media query in your file, your CSS file, is to declare that you are using a media query by doing an @ and media. And now you need to have the media type. I'm going to choose screen for this one. And the expression of maximum width. Let's set it to 700 pixels. All right, so now this line right here says that any devices that have a screen with no bigger than 700 pixels apply these rules. Okay, what are some rules we can apply? Okay, let's do, for example, the footer. When the screen is 700 pixels or less, let's make the footer red. So I'm going to do footer. Background will be red. All right, so now I'm going to shrink the viewport and take a closer look at the footer. It should turn red when the viewport is 700 pixel or smaller. So we're at 771 right now. It's gonna go down. There you go. Now we are below 700 pixels and see it turned red. Now usually you don't change colors of a web page because of certain devices. It would be more positional things, but I just wanted to show you how it worked. But usually, like I said, it would be just for more positional things to make the content fit better within the screen and to make it look better and to give it more space and just make it easier to read. So let's see if we can demonstrate that with another example. Okay, so these tiles right here, if you can see, as I make the viewport smaller, then they're just becoming too cramped, like it needs more space, and it just doesn't look good. So let's apply a CSS media query so that it will change to 2 to a row when it gets smaller than 700 pixels. Okay, so let's see, let's inspect the element to see what they are. Okay, so it's in this section, featured, and it's a list. So it's featured list. When it's 700 pixels or less, I want the width to do, what's the width on this? Featured. Okay, so right now it is set at 23%. Okay, so let's make it width of 23 times 2, 46%. There you go. So now, when the viewport is 700 pixels or less, it should change, yep, it should change to 2 to a row. We can even do the same thing for our mobile phones. When the screen is 500. Let's do 400 pixels. Let's get rid of the footer style. I want it to be 46 times 2 will be 92. Okay, so I want the width of each tile to be 92% when the screen is smaller than or is 400 pixels or smaller. So the maximum width of 400 pixels. All right, so it is set. Now let's reduce the size to 400 or less. And there you go. It changed. So that's how we use media queries in our CSS file. One last thing is whenever we hit a media query, for example, right here 700 pixels or 400 pixels, we call that a breakpoint because that is the point where the design breaks a little bit and new design and styles are applied. Thank you for watching the video and I hope it made sense to you. Thank you.